Are you like me on Farming Simulator 22 and you like to play as realistic as possible, but you're tired of how long it takes to make hay or the number of steps needed? You have to mow it, then you have to ted it, then you have to windrow it, then you either have to pick it up or bale it. And if you bale it, then you have to chop it, or there are some mods in game that will turn the bale straight to hay for you. Or you can cheat and you can buy an unrealistic silo that turns the grass to hay for you. Well, what if I could show you a way to make it look a little bit more realistic? It's still not perfect, but a little bit more realistic, and cut down on the number of steps to make grass turn to hay. Then you've come to the right place. Alright, welcome to Moose Farms. If this is your first time, thank you for joining us. Welcome in. Feel free to give a like and a subscribe if you like some of the content you see. And if you're a returning visitor, thanks for coming back. What I'm going to show you is something that I did. If you've been watching my Through the Years series, you will know that I was able to get my forage harvester to turn my alfalfa into hay. So I'm going to show you guys how I did that through a quick tutorial here. The first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to locate the mods that you want to use. For most of you, that's going to be here in Documents if you're not using Steam. If you have this is if you have the game installed directly to your PC. You're going to go to Documents, My Games, Farming Simulator, and then most of your mods, or all of your mods, should be right here. If you don't know how to use mods, if you download anything from the game, in-game mod hub, it'll automatically show up here. If you're pulling stuff from Patreon, if you're pulling stuff from Itch, if you're pulling stuff from King Mods, that's going to go to your downloads folder, and then you need to copy and paste those into your mods folder. And then the next time that you open the game, those mods will then be there for you to use. However, I use this app called FSG Mod Assistant. And what this does is it allows you to have multiple files of mods. It also allows you to store your mods in an external location outside of the Farming Simulator 22 folder. So for me, I have a 1 terabyte hard drive, external hard drive. I have all of my mods there, and then this program then pulls the mods off of my hard drive, links them to the game whenever I launch the game through the app. So it makes it for you, if you're like me and you have over 1,000 mods because you share your computer with a 7-year-old that thinks he needs to have every fire truck and every police car and every tractor, it's a great tool. So the first thing you do, like I said, once you've located your mods, you figure out which ones you want to use. The map I'm showing you this on is Alma, Missouri. I'm using the New Holland S2200 forage harvester, and I'm using the John Deere 3950 pull behind forage harvester and the Badger 1250 wagon. The next step is what you want to do is pull those mods out of your regular mod folder to a separate location to create a backup. I recommend doing a copy and paste and not a copy and cut and paste. That way you have a backup. Once you have them pulled out, you want to right click and extract those folders, which removes them from a zip format. You don't need any fancy extra programs to do that. Just right click on it and extract all. Okay. So now once you've done that, I'm going to show you how to figure out what you need. The first thing is you need to figure out the fruit types and fill types for your map. If you're using a map that you have downloaded, that's going to be inside the map folder. Find the folder for the map, find an additional folder called Maps, and then you're going to see two XMLs. One is going to be maps fill types and maps fruit types. Now, if you excuse me again, if you're using an in-game map such as Elm Creek, then you're going to want to go into your program files, find Farming Simulator. There will be then a folder called Data, and then there will be a folder labeled Maps, and that's where you're going to find your fruit types and fill types. That's the first thing we need. So I'm going to go back to my mod folder. I'm going to go to Alma, Missouri. I'm going to go to my maps. Now, you can open these with Notepad or WordPad, and that's fine. It works. But if you're like me and you want things to be easy, use Notepad++. It's free to download, and everything's color-coded, so it's easier to find stuff. Apparently I was using this earlier. So now I have my fruit types for my map, and I have my fill types for my map. The first thing that you want to do on your fill types is right here, you're going to find fill type converters. So my first fill type converter is my tedder, and that takes grass windrow to dry grass. Dry grass windrow again makes it dry grass windrow, meaning if you go over hay with a tedder, it doesn't turn it into anything else. Same thing with alfalfa and straw. So you have your converters. That's going to be important to remember. What I like to do, and I didn't mean to do that, is hit Control F, and you can search for these things. But so that's, you got fill types converters there, and then you're going to have fruit types. So we are going, now that you've located those, the first mod that we're going to edit. Now I've already done these. I already have it working, so I'm going to show you how I did it. I'm going to go into my New Holland S2200. There's three files I'm looking for. The S2200 XML file is the forage harvester itself. Then I have my sickle header and my pickup header. So I'm going to do S2200, and I'm going to open with Notepad. And now, see, it's got no conversion. So now I'm going to look for fill types. And you're going to come up with this right here. You're going to have fill type category forage harvester. So you go to your fill types. Once you're in your fill types, we're going to search category. This is where it's pulling from the map file what that forage harvester will recognize. So this one is set as forage harvester. So what you want to do is you want to make sure, and I'm going to take my time so you can take some screenshots or pause your video if you need to. You want to make sure that dry alfalfa windrow, dry grass windrow, as well as alfalfa windrow, grass windrow, straw, and soybean straw for this map are in your forage harvester fill type category. Those are not all going to be there when you start. I've added them to mine to get them to work. So what this is saying is when you go into the game and use this forage harvester, this XML is telling the game to look for map fill type category forage harvester to tell it what this piece of equipment will recognize. That's really all you need to do with that part. So as you'll notice, there's nothing for fruit types, and there's nothing for fill type, and that's all that shows up for fill types. So now you're done with your forage harvester. Now you need to go and look at your headers. We're going to do the pickup header first. And we're going to do the same thing. What you will notice here now is that if you search for categories, you have fruit type categories and fruit type converter. So now you want to go to your fruit types, and we're going to search categories in our fruit types, header pickup. So now it's saying this cutter bar is going to recognize anything that's labeled under pickup in the map fruit types. So we go to pickup, and we have alfalfa, grass, straw, soybean straw, dry grass windrow, and alfalfa windrow. You want to make sure all of those are in there. You can add anything else you want, just make sure there's spaces in between each item for the game to recognize it. So, step 2, make sure straw, soybean straw, dry grass windrow, and dry alfalfa windrow are in your fruit type category for pickup. Then we have fruit type converter, forage harvester. This is where you get the forage harvester to turn the grass into hay. Go right here, you have fruit type converters. Under forage harvester, you can see I have my grass set to turn my grass to dry grass windrow, and I have my alfalfa set to turn my alfalfa to dry alfalfa windrow. This will then cause the forage harvester to turn the grass and alfalfa into hay when they pick them up. So you got to make sure, and the easiest way to do that is just take one of these lines, hit copy, hit enter, paste, and change it to whatever you want. Be careful here. I use sunflower. The reason that's a 6 there is because if you're taking sunflowers and cutting the chaff, it's going to create a lot more product as opposed to grass going to hay being a 1-for-1 because it's a smaller plant. Now, under this same concept, I'm going to show you how this works. If you wanted to do this with a mower instead or a swather instead, it's the exact same process. You go into that mod, find the fruit type converter, and make sure it matches mower, and you can change your grass to dry grass windrow. You can change your meadow to dry grass windrow, and you can change your alfalfa to dry alfalfa windrow, and now your mower will turn that item straight to hay. No more need to ted it. Or you could do it with the swather, but the swathers on this map are just set to do your straw products to lay down the wheat, barley, canola, oat, and rye. So now you're done with your pickup header. Now every time you do something in here, it should prompt you, but make sure you're saving before you close it. The last step we need to do now is look at our sickle header. We're going to look at the same thing. We're going to see what our fruit type category is and our fruit type converter. So the fruit type converter is already forage harvester. We've already changed that. So we don't need to do anything with that. But our fruit type category is now direct cutter. So we go back to our fruit types, go back up to our categories, direct cutter, and you want to make sure alfalfa, grass, soybean. You basically want to make sure any crop that you're trying to cut with this header needs to be on here. So peas, rye, alfalfa, grass, wheat, barley, oat, canola, soybeans, sorghum, sunflower. Any product that you would be trying to cut potentially to turn into chaff or hay or whatever. So that's all set. So if you need to take a screenshot of that, I'm going to give you a second to do so. But now we have set all of our XMLs to what we need them to be. So you can save those and close them out. And it should tell you like this. It should say, do you want to save it? And I'm not going to save that change that I did. I just typed in it to show you guys how to do it. So I'm not going to save mine. The only reason I wanted to show you guys the John Deere 3950 is because it actually has its own field types. It has its own field types and fruit types within the mod. So you'll need to go in here, grass to dry grass windrow, alfalfa to alfalfa windrow. Because if you see here, the fruit type category is pickup plus, and the fruit type converter is forage pickup. Those are reading from within the mod itself. So the XML for that mod is picking to read those items from right here. So if your mod is like that, if it has its own XMLs within the mod, make sure you go in and make those changes into the mod directly. So here, I added grass, meadow. Actually, I didn't. I didn't add alfalfa at all to the fruit type categories, but I did change my converters to go grass to dry grass and alfalfa to dry alfalfa. The last thing to do, and I shouldn't have closed my fruit types quite yet. Can't remember if it's fruit types or fill types, so I'm going to open them both back up. The last thing you want to do is make sure that your wagon, your trailer, whatever it is that you're using, recognizes those as well. So I have the Badger 1250 here. I'm going to go into its XML. It's not as large, but once again, I'm going to look in categories, and I have right here fill type category forage wagon. Same thing. Fill type category forage wagon. Make sure dry alfalfa windrow is in there. Make sure dry grass windrow is in there. I also added maize to mine. If you watched any of my episodes, you'll remember right before I started doing my cows, I was having issues with getting my gravity wagons close enough to my silage blower to get my high moisture corn into the silo. So I modded my forage wagon to put corn in the forage wagon to use that to load it into my silo. All I did was add maize to the forage wagon line there. So that is everything that you needed to do. Now you're able to go into the game, and it should recognize what we just did. So I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to flip back to the game to do that. Sorry for the background music, but before I load into the game, I wanted to show you this. If you're making these changes to mods that you got from the in-game mod hub, they're going to show that you need to update them. So just so you know, you can see that I've made these changes to the Hayloft silo. I've made these changes to the Kloss Jaguar 75, the New Holland FR 450, and to Alma, Missouri. If you accidentally update any of these mods from the in-game mod hub, you're going to have to go back out and make those changes again. So just be aware, if the creator of the mod releases an update and you want to update your mod, you can do that. And then after you're done, you're going to have to exit out, go back and change all your XMLs again for this to work. Alright, now that we got all of that set up, we are back on our map to see if this works. I have my S2200 with my pickup header on. We're going to drop it down and turn it off. And we're going to go in here, and we're picking up the grass, and we're throwing hay into our trailer. It's as simple as that. Just a few minutes of editing the XML files. But don't fool yourselves. It did take me trial and error. I actually showed you the final result so you know what to change in your settings to make it work. But I actually struggled for a few minutes, few hours going back and forth on the XML files until I got it just right. But what you just saw will give you this final result. Now, remember I made that edit to the cutter bar. You can do this to the mower too if you want to. If you want it to be realistic in that way, instead of changing the forest harvester. I can't talk now. Instead of changing the forage harvester to turn grass into hay, you can actually just convert your mower and just go find the converter, the fruit type converter line for your mower, and just change grass windrow to dry grass windrow, or alfalfa windrow to dry alfalfa windrow, and then you'll go directly that way. So, and then it works like this with the cutter bar. So we'll put the cutter bar on, drop it down, and now with the cutter bar, I can cut directly. So then I don't even need to mow it. I'm just cutting grass with my forage harvester. It's becoming hay. Yes, it might not be realistic, but it's a quicker process than what you would normally have to go through to do hay. So now we're gonna try, if I did this right, this should work, but we gotta switch out the wagons, because now that this one has hay in it, actually, you know, let me try, because when you're baling, if your baler is less than 50% full and you change fruit types, it'll switch what's in your trailer. So let's see if this works over here on the alfalfa. So I turn on my cutter bar, I drive into the alfalfa, and no, I don't have output, so it probably won't work. Either that or I didn't change that file. We'll try it here in a second. If the cutter bar doesn't work on the alfalfa, I just gotta go back and double check the files and see what I did wrong. So we're gonna drop this trailer here. We're gonna get out of that forage harvester for a second. You'll jump in this tractor, and we're actually gonna take this one over to the alfalfa. We're gonna turn it on. And now it's recognizing hay, so I'm wondering if I got too close. I bet you I got too close to the edge of the field. Probably got too close to the edge of the field, and so it picked up some grass with it, and that's why it's not recognizing that as because it should say alfalfa hay instead of regular hay. So we're gonna try something here. I left the mower out. Let's see if I can squeeze through these trees. Let me fold, squeeze through these trees, and crud. Shouldn't have done it that way. We'll just drop that trailer. That's easy enough. We'll drop that too. And then what we'll do is we'll just go in here, pick us up just a couple more empty trailers, and have them dropped off right here in the field. And I'm going to go actually do a swath right down the middle of the alfalfa and try this again. So we know it's recognizing the grass. Now we just got to get it to recognize the alfalfa. And that's sometimes where you have to be careful. Obviously, as I crash again, I need to get a crash counter on my videos. If you use hired worker or even course plate, it's obviously only going to mow inside the field boundaries, and then you won't have that issue of overlapping fruit types like I just did. So let's drop this down. I'm gonna get a little crop destruction in here, but I don't care. Actually, let's not. Well, we can leave that there. All right. Back to the forage harvester now. Guess we're gonna have to use this trailer now because it just threw that excess hay into that other trailer. Now we'll see if this works. With an empty trailer. And there we go. We're cutting alfalfa directly into alfalfa hay. Now, if you guys want an additional video, I know there's already videos out for this. Another thing you're gonna do, because I use the hayloft silo to store my hay, I had to edit that mod to recognize dry alfalfa windrow for it to take the alfalfa hay, because it was a base game mod, so it only recognized grass and dry grass. So I did make that change. If you would like to see that, just drop a comment down below and I can make another video for that. I know that that video is already out somewhere, but just in case, if you want to see it, you can let me know. We're gonna do this, and if the pickup header on this one works, then it means the pickup header on the other one will work. We already have alfalfa hay in this wagon. Now we drop our pickup and we're throwing alfalfa hay into the trailer. So that's a quick and easy way, as long as you know what you're doing with the XML files, to take your grass or alfalfa and transfer it directly to hay. Again, if there's some other tutorials you're interested in, if you happen by my channel and there's some other stuff you're looking for that you maybe not have seen or heard of before, feel free to drop a comment. I'm open to making more tutorial videos and helping out some other less experienced players like myself figure some of this stuff out. But feel free to look around my channel, check out some of my other videos, and like I said, drop a drop a comment if there's something else you want to see. Give me a subscribe, give me a like, hit those notification bells. But thank you for watching, and I hope that I've made somebody's life easier with this tutorial.